Hello and welcome back, everybody. Today I want to look at another one of the brave arsenal weapons in Destiny, and that's going to be the Hammerhead machine gun. I think that this machine gun is actually pretty good, and I just want to go over a few perk combos that I think are great. And I also want to give it a little bit of a comparison to existing good machine guns in the game. So before we begin, if you like this video or found it helpful, like and subscribe, always greatly appreciated. Also, if you want to catch any streams, check out my Twitch link down below, and we're just going to go ahead and get started. Don't want to waste any more of y'all's time. On your screen now are all of the possible traits for a Hammerhead, and I want to go over a few of these in a little more detail, specifically some of the ones that use 2 damage traits, some of the ones that use Onslaught, given that this is one of 2 LMGs that can roll with Onslaught, and then towards the end I have another role that I really like for Titans specifically. We're also going to compare these to Commemoration, which is arguably the best Void LMG in the game currently, unless Hammerhead is good enough to overtake it, and we can just go ahead and start by looking at Commemoration. A crafted Commemoration from Deepstone Crypt usually looks something like this, with Reconstruction and Killing Tally. Both are able to be enhanced, and while Hammerhead currently does not have enhanced perks, it will in the final shape be able to be enhanced, although you will not be able to change the barrels and magazines like with a crafted weapon. Another important thing that I think I should note is that with full reserves of ammo, Commemoration does usually carry quite a bit more ammo than Hammerhead does, and so I think that is a good starting point for kind of my opinion on the difference between these 2 LMGs. I think that Hammerhead is great for hitting very hard, very quickly, while Commemoration is great for when you need to stretch that ammo reserve over a longer amount of time with things like Reconstruction Killing Tally, whereas Hammerhead typically caps out at about 315 to 317 reserves depending on magazines. And I think as a result, you could use Hammerhead's ability to get perks like Onslaught or perks like Rampage with another one like Surrounded or Killing Tally in order to effectively make use of the fact that it can hit much harder than Commemoration, but not necessarily get as much mileage as Commemoration can over the course of something like a raid encounter where you may be wanting to use a machine gun. So for a pretty basic general use role of Hammerhead, I would recommend something like this, which is really just going to be double damage perks. We're usually Rampage in the first column, and then either Surrounded, Killing Tally, or Onslaught in the second. This one specifically is Rampage Surrounded, but I did also use Rampage Killing Tally and Rampage Onslaught for this video. I kind of liked all of them, but I felt like Rampage Surrounded felt the most strong because when you were surrounded, it did so much damage that it was really, really good, and it'll be even stronger with the enhanced surrounded, bumping the damage up even more. But let's say you don't have Commemoration and you want something that is as similar to Commemoration as possible. Well, then the other general use role I would recommend is going to be a Hammerhead with Envious Assassin and then just another damage perk in the second column. I would probably for this one recommend either Onslaught or Killing Tally, because while I do not think Envious Assassin is as good as Reconstruction on an LMG, I don't think it's necessarily bad, and Envious will give you a bigger mag than Reconstruction. It just requires a bit more to get to that point. And once I got this one fully stacked, it had about 217 shots in the magazine, which was a huge amount for an LMG, which again, that is more than you can get with Reconstruction on Commemoration. But like I said, it does take quite a bit more effort to get to that point. Then, however, there are a couple other roles that I would like to recommend, and they're the ones that I would generally run with a Void subclass. In this case, you will see some people always champion Destabilizing rounds, although personally for me, Destabilizing rounds is not my 100% favorite perk, because if I'm on my Warlock or my Hunter, or even sometimes on my Titan, depending on which aspects I have, there's a good chance, at least in my Void build specifically, that I'm going to run Echo of Instability, which gives me volatile rounds anytime I get a grenade kill. Then, on a Hunter specifically, there's a decent chance that I'm going to have Gearfalcon's Hauberk on, which can give me volatile rounds on command, and I think once you have good access to volatile rounds, Destabilizing rounds, while not necessarily bad, just kind of loses some of its value. But the class that I really think it shines on is actually Sentinel Titan, because with the Fragment Controlled Demolition, you get healing anytime Volatile is procced, and you could use Destabilizing rounds to very quickly spread and pop Volatile for that healing for you and your allies, and I do think it's really good, especially if you want to pair it with something like Doomfang Pauldrons for the extra Void damage that you can get and extra Void ability regen. I really liked this combo in Legend Onslaught. I would definitely keep this in my back pocket just in case I wanted to really put out void damage and healing with this LMG. But that again leads me to the question of Well, if you have both Commemoration and Hammerhead, is it really worth using over Commemoration? And I think that it can be whenever you use them as different tools for different purposes. Like I said, Commemoration carries a lot more ammo and has a slightly older perk pool than Hammerhead does. So the main perk that I think you really get with Hammerhead that you don't get with Commemoration is going to be Onslaught. Onslaught currently only rolls on one other LMG in the game, and that LMG is Marcado 45, which, while I do think is decent in its own right because it is the better of the two Strand LMGs that we currently have, I don't really think Marcado 45 is that great compared to LMGs that we have access to as a whole. It's really bouncy, Onslaught makes it feel like it just eats its ammo too quickly, and I think it has other issues that prevent it from necessarily being one of my favorites. Hammerhead, however, has a lot of ways to get around those issues that Marcado has with Onslaught and actually make use of that higher fire rate to really put out a lot of damage compared to Commemoration. Commemoration, like I would say, is probably more of a jack of all trades, while Hammerhead is great at running at really high tempo a lot of the time in order to get you a lot of kills on enemies, or in the destabilizing rounds roll, just put out a lot of volatile. There are just so many things that Hammerhead can do that Commemoration just can't, that while I think Commemoration is definitely better all around, I think Hammerhead is very strong at the things it specifically excels at. If I had to recommend one role to farm for, it would be Envious Assassin and then Onslaught, and a close second is probably Destabilizing Rounds and then Onslaught. But I do think that there are several other roles that are great. Killing Tally is always good. Rampage Onslaught is always decent. The only issue I had is I felt like I was using my ammo too quickly. But I do think there are several roles you could get. It's not very hard to get a good Hammerhead that you will be happy with using in the future, and I do think that's a great testament to how well its perk pool is put together. It's not very difficult to get one that will just probably live in your loadouts for a very long time. However, that brings us to the end of this video, so if you liked it and want to see more, like and subscribe, always greatly appreciated. If I missed anything or you want to ask any questions, comments down below. I usually am trying to read those as often as possible. My Twitch is also linked below if you ever want to see a stream, and if there's anything else y'all would like to see from the Brave Arsenal, do let me know. I am still trying to get a look at Edge Transit versus Cataphract GL3. The testing and the math for that is taking me a bit longer than normal just because I've been really busy with work this week. So I will try to have that video out soon. We have Blast Furnace and Luna's Howl next week that I also would like to take looks at, so expect videos on those at some point. And yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. I will see y'all next time. Later, everybody.